Hey, Moose Country! Welcome to another episode of Let Us Be Heard.
What's up, Moose fam? Calling back here for another episode of Let Us Be Heard. Joined as always by my friend, co-host, and, all around pain in the neck, Dylan Gorman. Dylan, how you doing, bud?
Not too bad. And yourself?
Not too bad. You had a rush to get home for this interview, eh?
Yeah, got out of work a couple of minutes later than what I usually do, and hitting rush hour traffic going through the rotary isn't fun.
Yeah, you didn't want to miss this interview, though, eh?
No,
this is a good one.
this is a good one.
Yeah, I know we say that a lot. And first of all, apologies to the fans. We didn't put out a video last week, but that's mainly because scheduling conflict with guests, and we get them out as much as we can, but sometimes things happen.
Well, and we also only put out good ones.
Yeah, that too. So this one today, this guy has worn many hats with the herd.
Many hats?
Well, at least two.
Like he just walks in and grabs a hat from the store and puts it on.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah,
potentially.
Yeah, potentially.
He played in the big leagues too, right? In the NHL.
Did. Yeah, in the NHL.
And he played for two teams.
Yeah. One of the teams is hanging up there behind you, is it not?
Are you talking about that black jersey that's right there?
That's right, the Blackhawks.
Who's part of our team organization that did the Blackhawks? Wait, he built championship team.
He did.
Right.
And has made us competitive more than half of his career with the Moose.
Are you talking about the guy in charge?
The man in charge. Some
The
sort
one
of
upstairs?
manager. Yeah, some sort of manager.
You're talking about the general manager.
I think I am.
As in, like, Cam Russell.
Cam Russel, bud. Yeah, he has graciously agreed to come on the show. We didn't think we would get him. I'm very pumped to have him on. We've been getting a lot more support through the organization as of late, and I couldn't be more happier. We got Scotty Boy coming on tomorrow. Scott McIntosh. We got an interview with him in the morning. So it's looking up for the Moose fans. Yeah. Anyways.
Yep.
Please welcome Cam Russel.
Oh, the hockey game is the best game you can name, and the best game you can name is the good old hockey game. Oh, the good old hockey game is the best game you can name, and the best game you can name is the good old hockey game.
Cam Russel, man, thank you for joining us. How you doing?
I'm doing great. Thanks, guys. How are you doing?
Awesome. Amazing now, man. Dylan had to rush home through traffic just to get home for this, but he wasn't missing this one.
Not at all.
We'll just roll right into it. I'm going to ask you, for those who may have been living under the rock the last 12 years, 11 years, can you let them know who you are and exactly what your duties are?
All right. My name is Cam Russell. I'm the general manager of the Halifax Mooseheads. And, man, duties are... It's crazy. I wear a lot of different hats. I help out with the scouting, obviously trading. I manage the coaches, the training staff. I work with my assistant GM and our scouts. Work with our billets, our players. Keep an eye on our kids in school and their marks and how they're doing there. Book the hotels, book the flights, book the buses, book my scouting events. Lots of different hats. So it's a fun job. I like it. I mean, obviously, it's an emotional roller coaster. The highs are high and the lows are low, but it beats the Ferris wheel.
Geez, when do you have time to sleep?
It's good to be busy.
Yeah. So speaking of high moments in like your career and stuff, today's actually a special day that we're filming this. It's March 19th, which happens to be the assistant equipment manager Tyler Long's birthday. You were a very big part in getting him to be a part of the organization when Joanne reached out about it. What's it like having Tyler there and just seeing the interaction between the boys? And do you have any funny Tyler stories that you can share? Because I have one from the start of this year that involves you.
You got one, all right. Well, none that I can really think of offhand. I spoke to Tyler's mom a few years back, and she had, told me all about Tyler, and and what a huge fan he was. And, we noticed him all the time because he's just such an emotional, excitable guy. And we loved him as a fan. She brought him down, introduced him to us. He started helping out with the trainers on the bench here and there. And then honestly, it just grew from there. Ever since Benji's been here as our equipment manager, him and Tyler have really connected. And, he spends a lot of time with Benji and with our team. He's here basically every day for practice. He comes to the games, helps out with the training staff before the games, but, just become a real big part of our team. And I love the kid. He's always happy to see us. He puts a smile on my face, and especially when he brings in the donuts.
So he's also the best goal judge in the entire building.
Yeah.
I'll say the entire league.
Yeah, it depends which team you're on.
But I got a funny one. It was the start of this year. Towards the start of this year, a lot of our guys were gone away, so we didn't have too many of their starting key players there. So we ended up going up to Moncton on a losing streak, and Moncton was on a winning streak at the time. So we ended up winning the game. And afterwards, we're all walking to the car, and you're walking out of the building. Tyler sees you and goes, "Hey, we won," and runs over and just full on jumps in the air and wraps his arms and legs around you and just bear hugs you. And it was just the happiest thing. And you're like, "Yeah, buddy, we won. We did it." And just, he gave him the biggest hug back. And it was just an amazing moment to see.
Yeah, he really helps keep things in perspective, and sometimes you lose sight of what it's all about. And he's just, like I say, he's a great smiling face to see every day, and I love having him around here.
Yeah, happy birthday, Tyler.
Happy birthday, buddy.
Happy birthday, buddy.
Can you explain the emotion as a kid hearing your name called for the NHL draft?
You know what? It's funny. I talked to a few guys about this, and everybody kind of feels the same way. The number one emotion you feel is relief. You spend, as a kid, you're not playing the game because you want to get drafted and go to the NHL. You're playing the game because you love it. You love going to the rink and being around your buddies and going on tournaments. And, at the end of the day, you're more excited there's a pool at the hotel than the tournament, So it's just all about being around your friends. And as you get older, then the draft becomes a little bit of a possibility. You start to think about it. Then you think about it more, and you see it with our players here, and it can be very stressful. There's lots of pressure, that they put on themselves from the scouts, from the parents, sometimes from the agents. So, when you do hear your name called, it's just the biggest feeling of relief. And then, obviously that's followed by excitement, and it's a very proud moment, and you're also just excited and proud for your mom and dad too, because at the end of the day, if it wasn't for our parents, we don't even get close. So yeah. I was very fortunate, two very supportive parents, and I was more happy for them than for me.
That's awesome, man.
So to play off of that slightly, just to stay on that topic for a second there, when we have those players that are going to be drafted, do you kind of give them advice, or because it's definitely helpful having a GM or somebody in the system that went through all of that? Does a lot of them tend to come to you and ask questions, or do you see them having the nerves and approach them sometimes?
Not a whole lot. I mean, it's tough because they'll act like it's not a big deal, and they're not thinking about it. And you'll have conversations with them when it's needed. I guess in the past that has happened, but I think a lot of times the stress and the pressure is happening, and they don't quite even realize it's going on there. And sometimes you'll see it in the way they're playing, and like I say, sometimes they'll get pressure from home, and it's a tough situation. I know when you draft players at 16 and they come in, say you have 3 players at 16 that play you're almost guaranteed that the following year in the draft year that one or two of those guys are really going to struggle. So you do try to help them as much as you can.
Staying with the NHL for a minute there, who did you have a favorite player that you played with while you were in the NHL?
Oh man, you know what? I played a lot of good players. They were a lot better than I was. I mean, you still can't believe that you're playing with these guys. Sometimes you go into the rink with Forsbergs and Sakic's,
Oh yeah.
Chelios and Roenick and guys like that. And I actually played with Jeremy Roenick and Hull too when I played in junior. He was on our junior team for a year. Probably the two guys that I loved being around and had the best relationships were Jim Cummins and Bob Probert. And Proby was such a great person and a bit of a misunderstood person. Everybody was so afraid of him. He was such a tough guy. But anytime you had friends or family that came to visit you, they all wanted to meet Bob Probert.
Oh.
And he was honestly, he was the most accommodating, nicest guy you'd ever meet. And everyone left there. They couldn't believe how nice a guy he was, how accommodating, just how easy he was to talk to. So Proby was, Jim Cummins was probably my best friend there, but Proby was an incredible guy.
That's awesome.
So that's people that you played with and stuff. Do you remember playing against Bobby Smith? Because there were a few years that you guys overlapped in the NHL there. And what was it like when you ended up transitioning to working with him when it comes to the Mooseheads?
Yeah, I remember Bobby. I mean, back then he was on the end. He was at the end of his career, and I was just starting mine. But we all knew who Bobby Smith was. He was a first overall draft pick, and was a bit of a legend at the time. So, he was. I remember early. I think it was maybe 91 or 92. He was in Minnesota, and we finished first overall. They finished 16th, and they beat us in the first round. And actually, Minnesota went on right to the finals that year. They had a great playoff run. They didn't win it. I can't remember who beat them, but yeah, he's a pretty special player. And every now and then he'd bring the gear, and we'd play noon hour hockey here. And man, he still had it.
That's awesome.
Did he throw those like little jabs out there, like, "Hey, remember this series? Remember this one?"
Oh yeah. I mean. It was funny, we had our offices at Scotiabank Center. My office was the big boardroom, and when Bobby would come to town, he would set up his computer at the boardroom table, and he'd work and I'd work. And it'd be about 5 minutes. Every 5 minutes, Bobby would stop and say, "You know what? Funny story," and he'd break into a story, and then I would break into a story about, it's somehow related to a guy that I played with or a guy that I knew, and so we probably spent more time talking hockey and telling stories than working.
So your whole life has been hockey, from a kid right up to your adulthood, and you're probably going to retire in hockey. Let's be honest. It's changed so much in your time. Do you think the changes are good, or is there something you'd like to see come back, or what's your opinion on the way hockey in general, both NHL, QMJHL? The way it's moving, do you think it's all good changes?
I think, you could ask 100 people, you'll get 99, 100 different answers. I think most of the changes as we grow and learn from this game are good. I think they're made for the right reasons. The game is faster, it's more skilled. At the end of the day, that's what the fans want to see: goals, they want to see scoring. I don't know how you open the game up more. 3-on-3 coming in has been exciting for the fans, as long as it's played the right way. It's tough. I mean, I love the physicality of the game when I played. I know the fans still love that part of the game, and when I played back, in the old Norris Division days, it was prison rules back then. It was exciting, crazy hockey. I'm not sure I'd want to do it again, but back then I really enjoyed it. But yeah, like I say, for the most part, I think the changes are being made for the right reasons, and it's still a great game to watch. I love, I love watching it as a fan and working in the game.
Best sport in the world.
So, after playing for so many years, how did you end up transitioning into the coaching side of it and ultimately ending up in management when it comes to the junior team?
Well, I finished on an injury as a player in '99. Hurt my shoulder. I couldn't go back to play. Came back to live here. I'm from here, Cole Harbour. And it was 2000. Sean McKenzie, actually Bob Mongrain was just fired. Halifax was hosting the Memorial Cup, and Sean approached me. It's funny, my dad told me the night before, he said, "Why don't you give Sean a call and see if he needs any help?" And the next day, Sean called me, and Sean called me and wanted to know if I wanted to help coach the team. And I thought, man, what a great opportunity to come in and try my luck as assistant coach. And I did that through the Memorial Cup, and then 3 years after that. And then I stepped back away from the team for about a year. Wanted to spend more time with my kids and family, but I missed it, And then I came back as a consultant and became the head coach. And then Bobby took over, and after that season was over, Bobby said, "Look, we're going to hire a new head coach. You're going to be full-time general manager. We'll have two guys in two different places," and that was it. I became full-time GM, and I love it.
Speaking on that, did the NHL prepare you for the job that you do with the Mooseheads?
No, nothing. I mean, nothing prepares you for this. I remember saying to Bobby when at that point Marcel was let go, and I became head coach and GM, and I said, "Well, what do I do?" He says, "Well, be a GM." He said, "If you got any questions, call Francine at the office," and that was it. So he asked lots of questions. Talked to lots of people that have done the job. And, Bobby was a good mentor for me too. He was a GM in Phoenix for 5 years in the NHL. So, he wasn't just throwing me to the wolves. He was also there to help as well.
That's awesome. Now, you mentioned you're from Cole Harbour. I live in Cole Harbour. I see your jersey hung up every time I go into the Cole Harbour place. I actually got some B-roll footage that I'll probably put up at the beginning of this video for everybody else to see.
Yeah, no, it's pretty cool. My display case isn't the biggest one, not as big as Nate's, but it's still pretty cool that it's there. Yeah, I love it, man. I grew up in Cole Harbour and was fortunate to play my minor hockey there and have some great coaches that really helped me get to where I was or where I got to, and it's a great community.
Same coaches for Nate and Sid too.
Your display case may not be as big as Nate's, but you had a hand in helping Nate get that big from his time with the Mooseheads. So don't sell yourself short on that one. That's part of yours as well.
I appreciate that. Nate's a pretty special guy. We had a little bit to do with it, and he had a lot to do with it.
So you said you've worn multiple hats in the organization, from assistant coach to consultant to head coach to GM. Would you say you're the happiest now in the current position that you're in compared to being on the bench coaching?
Yeah, I think so. I think I shouldn't say I think so. Yeah, I do for sure. I mean, I really enjoy the GM role. When you're an ADD guy like me and you're doing something different every day, it's a lot easier. So now the coaches are with the players every single day. It's a bit of Groundhog Day. They're doing the same things over and over. So for me, it's you spend time with the players, you spend time with the scouts, you go scouting, you talk to the owners, you do lots of different things. So I really enjoy that part of it. And the other thing I enjoyed was being an assistant coach. I loved working with the defense, and just as assistant coach, you're right in the trenches and you're part of it. But you leave the game at the rink. You go home, and it's not on your mind. As the head coach and the GM, the game's always with you 7 days a week, 24 hours a day, and the pillow's not always soft. So it's a lot of responsibilities.
So after so many years with the herd, do you have a favorite Moose memory? I mean, aside from the obvious, like the 2013 memory, but do you have something that just sticks out in your head that like, wow, that's going to be in my mind forever?
There's a lot of good stories, a lot of exciting and fun things that have happened, and so many great players that have come through here, and a lot of them that weren't the best players, but they were just really good kids. And but to be honest, the best memory I have, I mean, it is 213. And I would say the President's Cup more than the Memorial Cup. And, I think if we would have won in Baie-Comeau, then maybe this wouldn't be the memory. But to win the first
Ice.
President's Cup ever on home ice in front of your own fans, and let the fans be part of that, and my kids and my family and my dad, I mean, that was pretty special. And,
Agreed.
it was stressful, but it was great, man. And we had some good players that stepped up and played great throughout the playoffs, and made it just so exciting. So that's a memory that'll live for a long time with me.
That's awesome.
So I was in the building that time, and it's just still surreal to think that I got to witness that. And then the celebration on the ice with the fans just pretty much going, to put it politely, screw you to the building staff, and just everybody ending up on the ice just enjoying it and just having fun. There was no argument, there was no nothing. Every bit of drama that was ever in that building was gone. It was just joy and nothing but happiness between everybody.
Yeah, and that's the way it should be. I mean, hey, you guys are taking the ice out tomorrow. Why not let everybody get out there on the ice and have a good time? So, and that's what made it fun for us, was to be able to celebrate with the fans and let them, enjoy that excitement.
Yeah. So being a GM for so many years, I'm sure the obvious answer is probably yes, but still have to ask, has there been a year where you might have regretted a trade, not necessarily who you brought in, but maybe more so what you've given up, or wish you've done something differently in the years?
100%. And I mean, you ask every GM or anyone that's been in this position, they'll say the same thing. And there's trades that we didn't make that I'm glad we didn't make them, because they turned out to be disasters for other teams. So you never, you do your research, you scout these kids for years, you talk to people, but you never really know 100%. When they come to your team, are they going to fit into your environment and your culture? They're going to be away from their girlfriends and families, and they've got new school, new teammates. There's so many intangibles and variables that you can't control. So, yeah, you want to make sure that you prepare and you do your research on these kids, but there's no guarantee. But yeah, to answer your question, yeah, of course, there's been moves that I regretted, and that's all part of it. And that's how you learn too.
Yeah.
You can't learn unless you make mistakes.
Yeah.
It is very much a roll of the dice when it comes to making those deals, because, like you said, you don't know how it'll completely pan out.
Well, and that's why you got to be careful not to just pat yourself on the back when they do work out too. So
Yeah.
You're sitting there thinking you're smarter than everyone else. You better be careful, because the next move you make might not be so good.
Staying on the trading topic, you have to kind of roll with the punches with your job, and when something doesn't work out, kind of think on your feet. And we've seen that this year. The hockey fans that pay attention in that barn, we know when a trade was rushed or whatnot. But I'm sure you spend the whole first half of the season planning trades. So what exactly goes into one trade?
Oh man, like I say, we hired a scout this year that we had just to scout trade eligible players. Prior to that, we would do our own work, our own research. Watch players on video, talk to our coaches, talk to our scouts. Research these kids even back to the midget days. And you got to remember, you're building a hockey team. You're not building an all-star team. So sometimes you're bringing in a third-line center. You look at in 2013, we brought in Stephen McCauley, and I remember a guy tweeting at me that it was the biggest mistake we made, and just a garbage trade. And he was such an important part of our hockey team moving forward. You know, he was such an important part of our team. And same thing as now, you know, we look at our team and going into the trade period this year, you know, we really needed some secondary scoring. You know, we really liked our defense. We liked our goaltending, you know, and we had, let's be honest, we had one line that could really score, but we needed to give those guys help. Yep. The other side of that is, you know, we had a really deep run last year, and it is hard to go for it 2 years in a row.
Yep.
You've got to be careful what you're giving up and what kind of a hole it's going to put you in moving forward. And, you know, the other side is everybody's got to be on the same page. You know, it's not just one or two people making decisions here. You've got a lot of people involved in these decisions. So everybody's got to be comfortable with it. It's got to make sense for the organization now. It's going to make sense for the organization moving forward. And then you make your decisions and you live with it.
I got to tell you, the trades last year, bringing Doucette and Lawrence in, we were all talking that there's nothing left in the cupboards. And then you bring us Springer and LFD. Like, I'm super impressed. I'm not kissing your butt or anything like that, but I'm super impressed with the job that you and your staff have managed to do, pulling together a team this year. I'm fully confident in our season this year, and I think you guys brought us some great players.
Yeah, no, you know what? We're excited about it. I mean, it's and you never know, you know, which way the playoffs are going to go with injuries, with certain players getting hot. You know, you could have a guy like Braden McPhee come back. You know, once he gets back in the playoffs, he's going to make a difference too.
Yep.
Yeah, and you know, a healthy lineup. We've only played 2 games all season with a full lineup, so you know, eventually we'll get there. Well, now, you know, Furlong could be out for a while here, so we'll see how that goes. But yeah, we like our team right now, and we're looking forward to getting down to the real hockey.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So we saw, going on of like the building the team, we saw a little bit of this in previous years, part of the Moose Tracks, went like during the McKinnon and Cataford draft year. But what's it like leading up to the Q draft period? Some of the preparations that you have to do there and try to guess what other teams are gonna do, and how many different lists you have to make of potential options.
Well, it depends where you're drafting. I mean, obviously, if you're picking early, your lists don't have to be that deep. If you're picking later, it's a bit of a challenge, but you put your own list together and you rank every player, you rank positions, and you look at skill, you look at character, you look at grit, you look at heart, you look at off-ice things, you know. So you put all this together, and you know, you might go into the draft with, you know, you might be picking in the 3rd round, and you know, come draft day, you might have a 1st round pick, a 2nd round pick, 2 3rd round picks. You never know. So you prepare for anything, and you make sure your scouts understand that. You know, don't worry about what our draft picks look right now. You just prepare like we're picking in the 1st round, we're picking in the 2nd round. You need to know who the best players are. So, you know, I lean very hard on those guys, but they've also got to know what we're looking for as a team too on draft day. But it's exciting, and every time you go into a draft, you never come out with the plan you went in with. So as well prepared as you are, you could be sitting there with your plan. Next thing you know, a GM will text you or come right up to the table. He's got a deal, makes sense for you. Might be picking 2nd overall. So, like I say, you've got a plan. You've got to be very ready for it, but you've got to keep your ears open because you never know what could happen.
We're hoping to be press credentialed for the draft this year in Moncton, so hopefully we see you there. I would be remiss, and I would probably be shot if I didn't at least mention this. My family would be pretty upset with me. But I stopped you at the parkade and while I was in my car, and I asked you on the way home from a game. You keep your eye on the locals. Has Jace Evans hit your radar, and is this somebody that you think you'd like to have on the team?
You know what? I make it a habit. I never talk about draft eligible players. You know, one way or the other. I don't talk about them in a good way or a bad way, just because I like to keep all that stuff, you know, close to my heart.
I get it.
Yeah, but you know what? I mean, all I'll say is I love the local players. You know, we love bringing in the Nova Scotian kids to Halifax. You know, I left home at 16, had to go to Hull, Quebec to play junior, and I would have given anything to be able to play junior in my hometown. So I know it'd be a pretty special thing for a lot of these kids. So it's tough. We'd like to take them all. Unfortunately, we can't. But yeah, we do keep an eye on those guys.
Great, that's awesome.
And I find a lot of the time the locals or the Nova Scotians play harder when they're on a Nova Scotia team, just because, like, if they're up in Sydney, they grew up watching the Eagles. If they're from here, they grew up watching the Mooseheads. So it was their dream, so they're able to live it out.
Yeah, no, like I say, it's a real special. It's a special thing for them. And the other thing is, you know, they've got 4 to 6 family members in the stands almost every game. So
Yeah.
it's always more fun to play for mom and dad.
100%.
What are some key points like that you try to hit when you're building a team of things start at the age of 15 and end their career at 21? That's such a big spread. What are some of the main things that you try to look for?
Well, you know what I mean. This changes every now and then. Sometimes, but typically, first of all, we're looking for a compete level. And you'd love to have a team full of 6'2" players, but that doesn't necessarily mean they're going to be the meanest, hardest working guys out there. I know a lot of guys are 5'8", 5'9" that have the heart of a lion and give you everything they have, and that's what we love, and then it's hard to find. Like sometimes it's easier to find a 30 goal scorer than a player that will just lay it on the line for you every single game. So those guys, we're looking for heart, we're looking for determined guys. Obviously, we're looking for skilled guys. Hockey sense is a big thing. Skating's a big thing. You got to be careful not to look for too many different things. Some of these guys, they think they're smart. They think they're too smart, and they've got 19 different things that they're looking for. Reality is, you know what a good hockey player looks like. He's got the heart of a lion. He can skate. He plays hard every night, and he can. Those are the kind of guys that you want on your hockey team. They're hard to find, but that's what we strive for.
It's funny because you mentioned.
Go ahead.
You mentioned that size doesn't always mean they're going to be goons. Nobody had us beating Phoenix in the playoffs last year. Nobody gave us a chance against them, and our guys walked all over them. So you're 100% right. You don't have to have size to compete and have a great team. LaRue wasn't the biggest guy, but he laid it all on the line, and he was one of the most feared people, I believe, last year in our league.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, the only game I was disappointed in last year was Game 2 of our series against Sherbrooke. I thought the way we came out in the first period, we looked like a beaten team. Yeah. And the first period they were all over us. I was really disappointed in our play, and after that period, I thought we really turned it around, and I think we lost Game 2, but then we went on to win Game 3, 4, 5, and 6, and was really proud of the way the guys really rebounded after that. But yeah, they played like they could believe they believed they could win. Obviously we got great goaltending in that series as well, but guys played hard, and you got it from everyone. Our 5th, 6th defensemen played dynamite. They played physical, they played hard. All 4 lines played great.
I just want to stay on this. I'm kind of skipping questions. I'm sorry, Dylan, but I kind of want to stay on the whole draft thing and such. Is there anything you can say to the Moose fans when they feel that something more could have been done by administration to progress us further in the season or the offs or the playoffs? They don't know what goes on behind closed doors, but they're always looking for someone to blame. I'm guilty of it. But there's something you can say to just let them know, like, we're doing our job.
I'd like to think we're doing our job when, we're 2 wins away from going to the Memorial Cup last year and finished second in our conference this year. But hey, you're never going to please everyone. Everyone is entitled to their own opinion. Unfortunately, sometimes that comes with limited information on what really goes on, but still doesn't stop people from having their opinions. And that's Canada. That's hockey in Canada. Everybody has an opinion. I mean, like I said earlier, you're trying to win. You're trying to bring in the best players that'll help you win, but you're also keeping an eye on the future of your hockey team. So, it's very easy for people to sit there in front of their computers and say, we got to trade for this guy, we got to trade for that guy. I mean, prices were beyond high this year in the trade period. So it gets to a point where, yeah, we'd love to have traded for this guy and that guy, but we're not paying those prices. So that's when, you make the trades that make sense to you and to your organization and everybody's comfortable with it. And you move forward with it. And, like I say, you make your decisions, you live with it. And you also got to, I've been in this game a long time. You're never going to please everyone. So it is what it is.
So you talked about compete level and just with the trades. One guy you guys brought in last year, I believe it was Jake Todd. And the amount that he's out there on the ice, well, that fourth line in general, or third or fourth line with him and Welsh and Mosier this year, they're out there and they're playing hard every single game, every single shift, no matter what the score is. That Bathurst game where it was 8-2, they're out there going hard.
Yeah,
like
they're working hard for sure.
Playing as hard as they can every time they're on their ice. So I see what you're talking about when it comes to, you can't get the top scorers, but you need the guys that are willing to play and put their heart into it.
Yeah, and those guys are hard to play against. I mean, that they're the guys that their job has to be go out there and wear down the other teams. You're playing a 7-game series in the playoffs. Every time you hit somebody, it's an investment. You're wearing players down, physically and emotionally. They know that every time they go in the corner, they're going to be finished. They're going to have to compete to play against guys. I mean, the last thing you want is the other team looking up going, oh, thank God I'm against him. He's so easy to play against. He never hits. Yeah. And also, they're important players, your third, your fourth line, and they have to understand that, and the coaching staff has to make sure that they understand that they're an important part of the hockey team as well. And I think we've done a pretty good job of that this year. And you look at our third and fourth line, I think they've come a long way this season.
Oh, 1,000,000%. They really have. They've been working their butts off, man. Was it difficult losing Bobby Smith, and how's it affected your job or your happiness level or your at work? How's it affected you?
Yeah, you know what? I mean, I'll be honest. It was tough. I've known Bobby for 20 years, and it started as a working relationship, and then it became a really good friendship. And we worked very well together. And he's a smart guy. I used him as a mentor, like I said earlier, when I started this job, and he understands the game. He knows the game. So he's and he watches all the games. He watches other teams play. So when you're talking about trades, it's easy to talk to him about it. So yeah, I'm happy for him. He's been involved in hockey his entire life. I know he's got lots of grandkids now, and he spends lots of time with them. So happy for him that he could do this. But the Simon family's come in, and they've been wonderful people and very, very good and easy to work with. So it's been a nice transition. As much as I miss Bobby, like I say, the Simons have been wonderful.
I absolutely love seeing them in the stands, just sitting with the common folk, having a chat with us. Me and him have emailed back and forth numerous times, and he's always quick to get back to me. They just seem like really nice people who really love the sport.
Yeah, and that's great to have that passion, and that's what it's all about. And so, the passion shines right through with those guys.
Yeah.
Oh, and especially what they did last year with the wildfires that we had with them, and the organization in general stepping up and helping the kids get new gear, helping pay for their hockey and everything. That shows right there that they're invested into this city more than what people thought they were originally going to be when they bought the team, because there was people that were scared that they were going to move the team and stuff like that. That happens with every change of ownership. So to see that, it's absolutely amazing and really reassuring.
Yes, no, for sure, for sure. That was very, very kind of them, but that's who they are. They're very, very giving people. So that was right. That was
Let's be honest, the Mooseheads isn't just a team; it's a community, right?
and everybody's part of it. I mean, you look at the fans that have been coming for, some of them since '94.
Yep.
I mean, everybody feels like they're part of it. It's pretty cool.
I am going to ask you about one more person because I had a request for it. But Chris, wanted to see if you had any memory or any thoughts on Kendra since she has passed.
Oh man, you know what, Kendra, man, what a human, or what a beautiful human being. Like she really was. I can still remember every time she'd come in the rink and yell out, "Hi, Cam!" I mean, or I'd see her, she'd always run up and she'd hug me. And she was just a wonderful person, a great fan, of course, but just such a kind-hearted soul. So she's somebody we all miss, and just a wonderful person.
That's awesome, man.
She is truly missed, and this kind of leads into the next. She had so many jerseys that she had, not just Moosehead. She had Sea Dog. She had anybody who played for the Cole Harbour Wolfpack. She supported them wherever they went. But obviously, staying on the Mooseheads, do you have a favorite Mooseheads jersey over the years? Like behind me here, I got the 2011 Pink in the Rink. I got last year's Hockey Fights Cancer. I got Cataford's military one. I got the anniversary one. They're a big commodity, and everybody loves them. But not just that, even our original jerseys, or any jersey that we have, what one really stands out to you?
Oh man, the Blackhawks jersey. Chicago Blackhawks. That's my favorite jersey.
That one right there. That's the I got a few of them. Oh.
I got the barber pole one.
That one there's the last year or 2 years ago Stadium Series. Jonathan, that's a Taves one.
No, that's near and dear to my heart. But honestly, our organization's done a great job with all those third jerseys and special jerseys. The D&D ones are dynamite. I think they're really nice, but that'd be a tough one to think about. I think I've got Nico's D&D jersey signed, like I say, a lot of really, really good. The 94s too, the new red ones that look really nice. I like those.
And another thing that maybe you guys, or as the people that are designing them, don't see is these jerseys truly do have an effect on people when it comes to like the meaning behind it. Like this jersey right here, it's the 2011 Pink in the Rink one, that one with my last name on it. And that's the year that I lost my mom to cancer. So that one really has a special place in my heart. Same with the Hockey Fights Cancer one here. We saw a couple of weeks ago when you guys did the special jersey sale, another season ticket holder really wanted one of these purple ones. And when she wasn't able to get it, she was actually in tears because of how much these actually mean to the fans in the organization. Even the D&D ones. I come from a military family too.
Yeah.
So they truly are more than just hockey sweaters or hockey jerseys. They mean a lot to so many people that are out there.
So I have one more question for you, and then a comment. You've been more than gracious with your time, and I really appreciate it. Is there any surprises in the works for the Mooseheads, / fans? Without giving away too many details, but are there things coming?
There wouldn't be surprises if I told you. I don't know. I mean, there might be, there might not be. We'll just have to wait and see. I mean, there's always something that's going on, and there's things that happen every day, and coming into the trade period, coming into the draft day, stuff like that. Who knows? I mean, we'll see. We're working on those things every day.
Awesome.
I think the biggest surprise at this point could potentially be a new nose for Hal.
That was the last thing I was going to say. Can we get a new nose for Hal? It's scaring the kids. He fell and it's all messed up. So you see wires behind it. And one of the kids had commented that they think he's a robot, and terrified of him.
I'd be happy if I get a new nose too. I know what it's like to have a bad nose.
So the last question that we asked everybody, is there anything you want to say to the fans, to the former players, to anybody who may be watching this? This is an open forum for you to say whatever you want through from your time with the Mooseheads.
You know, like I kind of alluded to a bit before. I've been here for a long time, since 2000. I've seen so many kids come through the Moosehead doors, and so many great kids, you know, and not, like I said, not all, they weren't all the best players on the team. They were third, fourth line players. They were backup goalies. They were fifth, sixth, seventh defensemen. I've just been really fortunate to, you know, to have worked in the hockey industry as long as I've had, and to meet and to have the opportunity to work with these wonderful kids, and to see them go on now and become professional hockey players, and just professionals in general, and start their own families and come back and see us years down the road is pretty special. So I feel very fortunate to have worked in this industry and have met all those kids. And the last thing I'll just say is that we do have the best fans in the world. And I know everybody says that, everyone says that in their own cities, but we really do. We've got a great group of loyal fans. I think they're knowledgeable hockey people. They're understanding. They understand that they're dealing with teenage kids here, and they're giving their best that they can, as are we. And I'm just very appreciative of all their support over the years.
Best answer yet.
Yeah. So I'll end it with this. I've been to a few NHL arenas within the past year, and everyone that I've gone to, I've either worn a Moosehead jersey or I've had the Halifax Mooseheads sweater on. And I've been stopped in Florida at the Florida Panthers arena, at the Tampa Bay Lightning arena, in Montreal. I've been stopped in everyone. I'm wearing the D&D Cataford one when I go watch Vegas play on Saturday. And I'm sure I'll be stopped there. But everybody knows the Mooseheads and respects the organization. I always get a go Moose go no matter where I'm at. It's really, really amazing, and it makes me really proud to be a Moosehead fan.
Cool. Feel the same way.
All right, Cam, listen, man, thank you so much for your time. I really, really do appreciate it. I'm not blowing smoke up your butt. I really do appreciate you coming on the show, man. That's it, guys. That was Cam Russel. Hope you're all healthy, safe, and happy out there. And as always, go Moose, go.